Alright, chicos, bienvenidos a otro video de Ed Puzzle. Let me make myself a little bigger here. Hola, bienvenidos. Today we're going to be finishing up this presentation on Construcciones de SE. Okay, Construcciones de SE. We already started this in class. What was it? Miércoles. Okay, miércoles was when we already started. We did uno and dos. Today we're going to be talking about tres and cuatro. So there are two other kinds of say. I'm gonna make myself small, put myself up here, so that I don't get in the way, but hopefully this helps you kind of visually see what we're talking about here. So the third type of say, please make sure you're continuing to take notes today, chicos. Today, in this Ed puzzle, you're going to watch the video, take the notes, and answer the questions on the Ed puzzle. So it's a 3-step thing, okay? Watching, answering Ed puzzle questions, and taking notes at the same time. This is just a continuation of those notes that we started in class on Wednesday before you took your prueba de pretérito versus imperfecto, okay? But we are continuing on with se número tres. The third kind of se is a se recíproco, and I'm pretty sure none of you ever learned this yet. If you have, it's good. This is just a refresher for you. But se recíproco, different from our other two se's in that it expresses a shared or reciprocal action. You're like, what? Isn't that a math term, señorita? Yes. Welcome to Spanish class, where we do math too. Just kidding. Reciprocal action, meaning happening to each other, right? Between two or more people or things. So think to each other, to one another. Think that as soon as you hear reciproco, say to each other, to one another. So we're going to look at some examples here. Luis y Marta se miran en el espejo. Espejo, mirror, ¿sí? Luis y Marta se miran, se miran. Luis and Marta look at themselves. They are doing it to themselves, a reciprocal action, see? In the mirror, right? In the mirror. They see themselves, they look at themselves in the mirror. Se miran. So that se there is not reflexive, right? It's not like they're doing it, I guess it kind of is like they're doing it to themselves, but it's not, okay? It's a reciprocal, not reflexive, reciprocal. You could even say they look at each other, okay? This se miran could mean they're looking at themselves or they're looking at each other in the mirror. Another example, Luis y Marta se miran, okay? Not in el espejo anymore, but just se miran. They, Luis y Marta, look at each other now, right? It's a reciprocal thing they're doing to each other. Se miran. There are not too many verbs that use this reciprocal se, but any verb could become reciprocal with that se in front of it, okay? Se miran, se miran. If I go too fast, make sure you pause me, okay? You don't need to write everything down. Just write down the things you feel is the most important for you in your notes in the future. Some other examples of our se recíproco, something to note, actually, is that only the plural forms, nos, os, and se, are used. Those are the only pronouns that we use because the action must involve more than one person or thing, right? I can't say me miro because that's reflexive. It has to be two or more people, two or more people. Cuando nos vimos en la calle, nos abrazamos. So take a minute on Ed puzzle and tell me, what does that mean? Cuando nos vimos en la calle, nos abrazamos. And if you don't know what this word abrazamos means, think brazo. What do you do with your brazos, if that's a hint to you? When we saw each other on the street, we hugged each other. We hugged one another, right? When we saw each other on the street, we hugged each other. We hugged one another. Reciprocal action. Las amigas se saludaron y se besaron. Try again on Ed puzzle. Las amigas se saludaron y se besaron. The friends greeted each other and kissed one another. See, a very common thing to do in Spanish-speaking countries. Honey, honey here in Hawaii, right? Kissing on the cheek. Las amigas se saludaron y se besaron. They greeted each other, they said hello to each other, and they gave each other a kiss. Ustedes se van a encontrar en el café, ¿no? In a question form now. Ustedes se van a encontrar en el café, ¿no? Se van a encontrar. Notice the placement of that se in front of the conjugated verb. You guys are meeting each other, reciprocal, at the coffee shop, right? You guys are going to meet each other or meeting each other at the coffee shop, right? Each other in that se right there, right? That's the whole point of reciprocal se. It's a action being done to each other, reciprocal action. That is the point of a reciprocal se. Okay, pretty simple. Just takes a little bit of practice, but notice you can only use nos, os, and se, guys, not mete or se. Se meaning the other se for LAO said. The fourth se and the last se is our se accidental, and this one is the biggest doozy of them all. It takes the most tuning of the brain to figure this one out. Okay, so follow along with me carefully. Se accidental. The person who performs the action is de-emphasized, implying that the accident or unplanned event is not his or her direct responsibility. Yes, the person who did it didn't really do it. It's not their fault, and you'll hear why. So this is the formula. Please make sure you write down this formula for se accidental. Starts with a se, always starts with a se. Then you have an indirect object pronoun, metele, nosos, les. Then you have a verb. Then you have your subject, okay? Subject coming at the back, kind of like gustar and all those other verbs, right? So take note of the structure here. Take note of the structure here. An example of a se accidental. And we're going to do a lot more, so don't worry, but this is an example, okay? Se me cayó la pluma. La pluma, the pen. Cayó, from caer, which means to fall. Me, meaning to me. Se just always is there at the beginning, okay? This is what this sentence is saying. I dropped the pen. It says I dropped the pen. But literally, the pen dropped itself upon me. Yes, the pen dropped itself upon me. Following my pointer there? Here, one more time. The pen, because the pen is a subject, dropped itself, or fell, okay, upon me. It indirectly happened to me. I didn't do it. The pen did it. Yes, I know. It's very confusing, but follow along with me as best you can, guys. Here we go. These are some commonly used verbs with se. Caer, which we just saw in that example, to fall. Okay, so if you do not know these, make sure you write them down. I'm sure some of these are going to be new to you, but keep them here because these are frequently used with this kind of se, this se accidental. Caer, repítame, caer. Caer, to fall. Next one, dañar. Repítame, dañar. Dañar, to damage. Okay, to damage. Next verb, olvidar. And I literally use this all year long, and I'm like, no se olviden, to forget. Olvidar, to forget. Perder, that's with a P there. Perder, to lose, which I believe you should already know this verb. Perder, to lose. Quemar, quemar. Not sure if you know this one or not, but quemar, chicos, to burn. Okay, quemar, to burn. Quedar, to be left behind. This is different from quedarse. Quedarse with a se at the end, to stay or to remain. Quedar, though, to be left behind. Okay. And the last one, romper, which you do know, to break. Okay. These are commonly used with se accidental because they're kind of accident words, right? It's like, oops, I forgot. Oops, I broke. Oops, I burnt the mac and cheese. I don't know. Okay. So make sure you get these down, because we're going to be using them here in our ejemplos. Se accidental continued. In this type of construction, what would normally be the direct object of the sentence becomes the subject, and it agrees with the verb, not with the indirect object pronoun. For all my grammar freaks out there, hopefully that makes sense. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, let's look at some examples. We always start with se for this type of construction. Always start with se. Then we have metele, nosos, les, which are our poi, our pronombres objetos indirectos, indirect object pronouns, see? Then we followed up with el verbo conjugado, the conjugated verb. In this case, they are all in el preterito. I wonder why. Oh, because it was a one-time action. See, it happened in the past. Also, we're not saying I drop. We're not using present tense. We're saying I dropped, right? Past tense. So obviously we're going to use preterite, not imperfect, because boom, it happened once. If you're like habitually forgetting something, then you would use imperfect. But for these ones, notice we're using preterito. Whoops, wrong button. And then we follow that up with el sujeto, subject. Okay, this is the subject. Notice I have 2 arrows going there because your subject could be singular or plural, depending on how many things, which are actually your subjects, you are talking about. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at an example here, and I will use my color pen so that we can see this. Always start off with se. See, let's go se. Se me quedó la receta. Se me quedó la receta. The bill or the prescription or the, what's the other one? I can't think of the thing that tells you the ingredients. English is hard. Okay, let's go with the prescription. Okay, the prescription. Because we're talking about me, I left the prescription. But literally, we start here. Número uno. The prescription. Oh, that's dos. Left itself upon me. You see how that's working there? The prescription left itself upon me. It's indirectly happening to me. I didn't do it. The prescription did it. Okay, let's try another one. How do I clear here? No, not that. Where'd it go? Erase. Here we go. Okay, let's try another one. Different color. Start off with se. Se te cayó la taza. The cup, the drink, whatever, dropped itself upon you. Se te cayó la taza. You dropped the cup. But you didn't do it. The cup dropped itself. Sorry, my numbers are horrible. On you. Okay, it's backwards. It's always backwards. So notice for these 3 right here, we have a singular subject. Thus, we have a singular verb conjugation, right? Quedó, cayó, dañó. Because we're talking about one singular object. The difference now being down here with our plural objects, las, hierron, arron, hierron. Because, let's try another one. Se le olvidaron las pastillas. Se le olvidaron las pastillas. I don't know necessarily who this le is applying to, so let's just say she. Okay, let's just say she. She forgot the pills, but technically the pills forgot themselves upon her. I know, it's crazy, right? It's crazy. So that is why these ones down here are plural, because the subject is plural. Notice that it does not matter. I don't care how many people are in the action, right? Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it happened to all of us. It doesn't matter if it happened to you or to me. It doesn't matter. What matters is that the subject, the thing, is singular or plural. You only have 2 conjugations to ever pick from, singular or plural. Never me. I don't ever do the action. No. It did it upon me. It did it upon us. It did it upon her, them, whatever. So be careful with your conjugation. You can only ever use a singular or a plural conjugation. You should not ever be using a yo or a nosotros conjugation, because that is wrong. Okay, we're going to take a look at some ejemplos. Se me perdió el teléfono de la farmacia. Se me perdió el teléfono de la farmacia. Perder, to lose. Me, to me. What was lost upon me? I lost the pharmacy's phone number. Technically, the phone number lost itself upon me. The phone number of the pharmacy, right? Lost itself upon me. What? Crazy, I know. You try this one out. Se nos olvidaron los pasajes. Tickets, boletos, okay, same thing. Se nos olvidaron los pasajes. We forgot the tickets. The tickets forgot themselves upon us. Is your mind blown yet? I hope so. This is se accidental, chicos. This is everything to do with accidental se. It's all backwards. It's all whack, I know. But just remember, you didn't do it. With a voice crack. You didn't do it. He didn't do it. They didn't do it. The thing did it to you. It did it upon you. Okay, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. So be very mindful of these structures. Be very careful with these structures. Notice we always start with the se, though. That's the easy part. Cuidado, chicos, cuidado con este verbo caer. Okay, caer does not mean to drop. Caer means to fall. So you could use dejar caer for to let fall, or you could use caerse to drop. So let's look at this example here. El médico dejó caer la aspirina. The doctor allowed to fall the aspirin. The doctor dropped the aspirin. He allowed it to fall. He dropped it. Same thing, right? He gave it the permission to fall. He dropped it. Right here, we're putting it on him, right? We're saying it was his fault. He dropped it. But notice in the other construction, we don't say he did it. We say the aspirin dropped itself upon him. This one, we do blame him. He is at fault here because we're conjugating it to the médico, not to the aspirina, to the médico. A mí se me cayeron los cuadernos. Notice with this one, we are saying I dropped the notebooks. A mí se me cayeron los cuadernos. Que caerse now, with the se construction, we're putting the fault back on the cuadernos. It's just indirectly happening to me. So technically speaking, the notebooks dropped themselves upon me here. See, a mí se me cayeron los cuadernos. The a mí there is optional because we know that a mí applies to the me, so you don't necessarily need the a mí there, but notice the difference here. One is you're at fault, the other one is the object is at fault. So be careful with those. Be careful with those. And also notice that caerse could just apply to you. You could drop, you could fall, right? You could fall yourself. This is when we're talking about dropping things, not necessarily people. I hope you're not carrying people, but you know what I mean. Okay. Oh, there it is. The notebooks fell themselves upon me, right? It's not, I didn't do it. The notebooks did it. Okay. Para clarificar, this is the last bit, guys. To clarify to whom this is happening, we always start off with the a, right? A plus the noun or a plus the subject pronoun. What do I mean by this? Check it out. Al paciente se le perdió la receta. Al paciente se le perdió la receta. The prescription, was left or was lost by the patient, right? The patient lost his prescription. Why do I need this al paciente? Well, because of this le, right? This le is not clarified. I don't know who it is. Could be a he, could be a she, could be you, formal, could be Bob, could be Jim, could be Pam. I don't know, right? Therefore, we clarify with al paciente. To the patient, this happened. The patient lost his prescription. The prescription lost itself upon the patient. See, that's why we're doing it that way with the al paciente. Same thing right here. A ustedes se les quedaron los libros en casa. You guys left the books at home, but the books did the action. I just need to clarify here this les, because this les could apply to any plural people out there. It could be a they, it could be you guys, I could be those two neighbors down the street. We don't know. So we say a ustedes to clarify the les. See, a ustedes se les quedaron los libros en casa. You guys left the books at home. So we really only need to use this a plus subject pronoun or a plus noun to clarify le and les. Me, te, nos, and os, those don't need any clarification. We know exactly who we're talking about, right? But le and les, they gotta be clarified because we don't know who we're talking about all the time. So to clarify who this indirectly happened to, we use a plus whoever we're talking about. Okay, last thing you gotta do, guys. You're going to practice. Oh, I forgot to clear my board. Lo siento. You're going to practice. Van a practicar. Responde a dos preguntas. ¿Qué tipo de se es? Número uno. ¿Y qué significa? Número dos. So notice for here, my ejemplo. Se habla francés aquí. We're combining all four types of se constructions. All four types. You should have all four types in your notes by now. Se habla francés aquí. That is a recíproco se. Wait, no, it's not. No, it's not. Oh my gosh. I lied. I'm sorry, guys. That is not recíproco. That is impersonal. Ignore that. Can I type in here? No, I'll just write. Horrible font color. Impersonal. I'm not redoing this whole video just for this, guys. Impersonal. Holy moly, that is so ugly. That's impersonal, okay? Impersonal, say, not reciprocal. Lo siento, lo siento, lo siento. Impersonal. French is spoken here, and that's what that means, okay? So tell me, what kind of a say is it? And tell me, what does it mean? Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, and cinco. And if you forgot what the types are, you have recíproco, you have impersonal, you have reflexivo, and you have accidental. Okay, those are the 4 different types, not in that order that you did it, but those are your 4 different types. On the end puzzle, that is your job. I will see you lunes, el primer de febrero. See you lunes. This is due lunes. I will see you then. Nos vemos. Adios.